On a warm, sunny afternoon, a quiet neighborhood park rested under the soft glow of the afternoon sun. The gentle breeze carried the scent of freshly cut grass and blooming flowers. Birds chirped quietly from the branches above, and a few scattered benches sat empty along the winding walking path. It was the kind of peaceful place where neighbors came to relax, breathe deeply, and enjoy simple moments. Walking slowly along the path was a middle-aged woman, carefully holding the leash of her small dog. The dog was a tiny ball of energy, a little nervous but clearly loved. Its fur was soft and well-groomed, shining in the sunlight like a prized treasure. The woman's eyes kept flickering down to her dog, her pride obvious in the way she smiled gently every time the dog looked up at her. Though the dog was friendly toward its owner, it was shy and cautious around strangers. It would often hide behind her legs, or pull back slightly when someone unfamiliar got too close. The woman understood this well, and had always been protective, making sure no one disturbed her little companion. As they walked, there was a faint tension in the air, a feeling that something was about to change. The woman noticed a man approaching from a distance. Something about him made her pause, and a small flicker of unease crossed her face. The dog stiffened beside her, sensing the shift too. The quiet afternoon suddenly felt less calm, as the man drew nearer along the path. A woman sitting nearby on a bench finally spoke up, her voice calm but curious. "Excuse me," she said, looking between the man and the dog's owner. "What's going on here? Why all this yelling?" The man took a slow breath and nodded. "I'm a professional dog trainer," he explained quietly. "I work mostly with service dogs for veterans, helping people who've been through a lot, especially those suffering from PTSD. My job is to train dogs to support them." The woman who had been yelling still held the leash tightly, but her anger seemed to soften just a little. Her eyes narrowed slightly, as if trying to understand something new. The man continued, "Sometimes these dogs get nervous around new people or loud noises. That's why I was trying to calm your dog. I use special training techniques that help them feel safe." There was a pause. The dog's small body was still tense, but the man slowly reached out again, this time with gentle confidence. He demonstrated a few soft commands, speaking in a low, soothing tone. "Good boy. Easy. Relax." Almost immediately, the dog's shoulders lowered, its tail wagged slightly, and it looked up at the man with calmer eyes. The woman's mouth opened slightly in surprise, and a few onlookers let out quiet murmurs of amazement. "See?" the man said softly. "Dogs like him can tell when someone cares. It's about trust, not fear." Then he shared a story. "There was a veteran I worked with. He lost his way after coming home from war. The nightmares, the panic attacks, it was hard. But when he met his service dog, everything changed. That dog saved his life by simply being there. The dog knew when to stay close, when to distract, and when to protect. That's why I do this work." The woman's eyes filled with something like sadness mixed with guilt. She looked down at the dog, now calm, and resting its head gently against her leg. Around them, the crowd shifted. Some people looked at the man with new respect, others exchanged quiet, thoughtful glances. The tension in the park began to melt away, replaced by a slow sense of hope, but the question hung in the air: would the woman truly accept what she had just learned? Could she let go of the fear and anger that had held her back for so long? The man waited patiently, knowing that some lessons take time to sink in. The woman took a deep breath, her hands loosening slightly on the leash. The dog gave a soft whine, as if sensing the change too. In that quiet moment something fragile but real began to grow: understanding. The woman took a slow, shaky breath, and looked directly at the man. Her voice was quieter now, touched with regret. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean to yell at you like that. I was scared. I judged you too quickly, and I hate that." The man nodded, understanding in his eyes. "It happens more than you know," he replied gently. "People see me, and sometimes only see the color of my skin. They don't see who I really am, or the work I do. That's hard to carry." She looked down, the weight of her own words settling in. "I think part of my fear came from things I've seen or heard before. From past experiences and stereotypes I didn't want to admit I believed, but that doesn't excuse my anger. For the first time she asked questions, not to challenge, but to learn. How do you train service dogs? How do they help veterans? Can any dog be trained like this? The man smiled, grateful for her openness. He explained how each dog was carefully chosen and trained to respond to signs of distress. How they could calm a panic attack or wake a veteran from a nightmare. It takes patience and trust, he said. The dogs and the veterans teach each other how to heal. The dog, who had been nervous just moments ago, now sat close to the man, tail wagging gently. It leaned into his hand, clearly happy and calm. The woman's eyes followed the dog's movement, a gentle smile forming on her face. Nearby, a few neighbors who had watched the whole scene started to speak quietly among themselves. Some nodded at the man, their expressions filled with respect. Others caught the woman's eye, and gave small encouraging smiles. A couple of people even offered a quiet apology for not stepping in sooner or for their earlier silence. The woman looked around, sensing the shift. The park no longer felt tense or divided. It felt hopeful. "This is kindness," she said softly, her voice full of wonder. "I've never thought about it like that. How fear and misunderstanding can keep us apart." The man nodded. Kindness and understanding can break down walls that fear and prejudice build. It's not easy, but it's worth it. The woman's eyes met his again, filled with something new, respect, gratitude, and a desire to do better. She reached out and gently petted her dog, who looked up at her with trusting eyes. In that moment the woman realized how powerful it was to look beyond fear, beyond first impressions, and to see the heart of a person, and the soul of a dog. The park seemed brighter, the sun warmer, and the world a little more connected than before. The woman took a deep breath, and looked at the man with a newfound respect. "Thank you," she said softly. "Thank you for being patient with me. I'd like to learn more about service dogs, and how they help veterans. Maybe there's something I can do to help too." The man smiled warmly. "I'd be happy to show you. There's a training center nearby, where we work with these dogs every day. You'd be surprised how much the community can do to support veterans and their service animals." They began to talk about ways people could get involved, raising awareness, volunteering, and simply treating service dogs and their handlers with kindness and respect. The woman listened closely, asking questions and sharing ideas. As they spoke, the dog stayed quietly by the man's side. It even leaned into his hand at times, showing its trust and affection. The small dog, once nervous and tense, now seemed calm and happy. The bond between the man and the dog was clear for everyone watching. Neighbors who had gathered slowly began to smile and nod, sensing something special in this moment. What had started as an angry misunderstanding had turned into a chance for connection and healing. The woman looked down at her dog, and then back at the man. "I never thought I'd feel this way today," she admitted. "But maybe it's a new beginning, for me, for my dog, and for this community." The man nodded. Breaking down barriers isn't always easy. But when we take the time to understand each other, we see people for who they really are. Not the labels or fears, but the heart inside. The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the park. In that quiet moment, hope filled the air. It was a reminder that kindness and understanding could build bridges, one small step at a time. And sometimes, all it takes is a dog to bring people together, to teach us lessons we never expected, and to remind us of the power of seeing beyond what's on the surface. This story shows how judging others too quickly, especially because of fear or stereotypes, can cause pain and misunderstandings. When the woman yelled at the man, she didn't know his story or the good he was doing, but once she took a moment to listen and see beyond her fears, everything changed. It reminds us how important it is to give people a chance to show who they really are, beyond first impressions or appearances. Sometimes, all it takes is a little kindness and openness to break down walls built by fear. Animals, especially dogs, have a special way of bringing people together. They don't see color or background, they simply trust and love. Through them we can learn lessons about loyalty, patience, and understanding. So the next time fear or doubt tries to cloud judgment, remember this story. Choose kindness. Choose understanding. Because in the end, that is what helps us all come closer and see each other as we truly are.